Lindsay, in case you don't know, and this is Mike Naraki, our vice principal. And
hello, everybody.
Right hand guy, that's for sure. So I think I'll take a moment to kind of run through the questions that some of you left on the site, and then we can talk a little bit about any kind of questions, other questions that you may have that you didn't list. Mike, do you have any specific information about anything other than the questions?
No, I'll wait for the question. We'll hear the questions out, and then I'll jump in when needed.
Great. And then we have a little project to work on. So if we have a few minutes at the end, I'm going to have you work in small groups, and we're going to look at how to measure our core value of integrity. So we'd love to get your input on that if we have time at the end. So I will start, and I have to say, as I'm walking over, I'm like, I didn't bring my reading glasses. So the first thing, of course, is the building update. Everyone wants an update on the building, so do we. But I can tell you that things are continuing to move on. We don't have an agreement yet on the 199, the 201 building, but we are working on it. We still have our team is assembled. And we have been working very closely with the bank. We have a commitment from them. Our ducks are in a row. We know what numbers that we're working with. Had appraisals done on the building, so I would say we have a good idea of where we are and what we can afford and what we can't. And now it's just coming to that agreement. And for anyone who's ever purchased a house or even a car, sometimes there's a lot of back and forth, right? When you're talking about millions of dollars worth of building, there's even more conversation back and forth. So that's the phase that we're in. Is it taking longer than we thought? Yes, it's taking longer than we thought, longer than we hoped. But we're still very hopeful and don't see any issues coming up. But it is moving slower than we had hoped. That said, we've hired a new development consultant. And I'm not going to be able to say his last name correctly, but it's Rick Trafalgar. But Rick, he's actually been absolutely wonderful. He works with us on Mondays. He's in Mark Vital's, sharing a space with Mark Vital in the lower school building. Has years and years of experience working with charter schools and helping them raise money. He's working with a charter school in Boston right now, in the music charter schools, and helping with their capital campaign. And he has been a great help to us already. He's, I think yesterday was his third Monday with us. He works long days, he works hard, he's in contact with us, throughout the week. And so that's been a great addition to our staff as we really start to shift our thinking into development. And we would like all of your minds to shift with us as we think about where are we putting our resources. And if you'd like to make a donation, put that aside for our capital campaign. We're going to need the support of everyone in our community for this. So if you work for a company that has matching funds, or someone who really loves to give away money, especially to charter schools, start collecting that information, because we're really going to need everybody's help and support on this. So we're working on a plan right now. And we will, he's going to be doing a feasibility study and looking at what we'll need to have from gifts, corporate gifts, and things like that. So that's definitely fully in the works, and we're running with that right now. So that's the building update. I think what it is, we don't really have the final agreement with the owners yet, but we're putting all the other pieces in place that we need to in order to be able to run with that. We're looking at having to raise millions of dollars, like $20 million. So this is not a small thing. It's not going to be a quick thing. We're going to be able to do it in stages, as we've been talking about. But we need millions and millions of dollars in order to make this happen. Yes, there's mortgages we can get for buying the buildings. But when we start talking about improving buildings and building a new building, we are talking about raising large amounts of money. And we're going to need the whole community to help us to do that. So any questions about buildings or...
So the plan would be to have those two buildings and empty out the lower school, is what you guys have?
So what the plan is, if you ever want to stop by the office, we've got pictures, posters, and things that we had brought out last spring. But eventually, yes, we own the white building. Yeah. The top 2 floors of that building are empty. I had the opportunity to tour those last week. It was very interesting. I'd never been up there. It's amazing up there. What a great view from those top floors. You know, I mean, I can just see across the front of the white building, you know, Thermo Fisher Building of Excellence at AMSA or Raytheon in big red block letters. It's right on 495. It's a great location for somebody to sponsor that building and fix it up for us. So we think if we can get classrooms on both of those floors, it would be about 20 classrooms over there. Then, and this is all in phases, we're going to change the way that the traffic goes around the building, so it's going to go all the way around the back. We're going to close up the center. That's one of the other parts. We're also creating what's eventually going to be a gym, a 2 full basketball court gym, which would be a swing building that I think you're referring to. So that, it would be over in the parking lot behind the white building, and it would be raised so the parking would still be underneath. That would be a swing building, so as we empty out 201, we can put temporary classrooms in there, have the kids go in there, and then we got 201, get that settled, they can start using that, and then got out 199, move the swing over there to that added on building. And then eventually turn that into a gym once all the buildings have been updated. So it's a process. It's going to be years in the making, but our first step is we've got to get these buildings purchased. Yeah. Any other questions on buildings or anything? No, that's the best update.
I guess I have to. So is the landlord still working with you guys?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I didn't know whether he had a change of heart that was making it more difficult.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. That's not the impression we get. I think, you know, just everyone has different opinions on what's, you know, things are worth, and sentimental value involved, and things like that, you know. I know I've sold houses before where people are like, it's not worth what you're asking. I'm like, well, of course it is. I raised my children here. This is a wonderful, wonderful home. So, you know, it's more like, I think, that kind of a thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, someone asked about the bathrooms in privacy issues and some of the doors. So that is in the budget. I meant to talk to Eric about that before this morning. I apologize. The white building in particular, because I've used those stalls. It's kind of like, you know, you're holding the door. They know they're off kilter. I believe that Liana has ordered them already. And then they'll be replacing them. But it's actually all our floor and the smock floor underneath the daycare center. And I don't know why those shifted, and they don't lock all the way. But it's definitely a known thing. Oh, you nodded, but I don't know if this was your question.
I just learned about it yesterday. My daughter came home. She goes, "The white building. You have to hold the door to use it." I just learned about it yesterday. That's why I was like,
Yes.
So that was actually my
That was
question.
your question, Julie.
I have 2 kids who both are having issues, and my son is only in the lower school, so I don't know if there's some issues there as well. But he won't use the bathrooms at school anymore, which is troublesome. And then my daughter changes for soccer, and she said that's a problem because she can't change.
Which building is she in?
I
when
think
she's trying to
she
change,
was
Julie?
mostly talking about the white building.
Okay, the white building, I would get a timeline on that. I didn't know about the lower school boys' bathroom, so I'll have Eric check on that. The upper school restrooms seem fine.
Okay.
I'm in and out of those myself, so
Thank
I
you
don't
for
see it being a
looking
problem.
into it.
But yes, we're working on that. But we definitely, you know, you'd be surprised how expensive bathroom doors are. Oh.
So your son mentioned the lower school has a door issue, or was it something else in general that you wouldn't know in the bathroom?
I will ask him to give me some details because I can't remember what he told me.
Okay.
And I'll email you.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. AP Psychology. We had a question about AP Psychology. So AP Psychology was AP Psychology is just it's my subject, right? So this was a class that was certainly very near and dear to me. But the funny thing about AP Psychology, and this is not AMSA specific, it doesn't fit anywhere. If you're in a really big school and you have a life sciences department, or you have a department where psychology normally fits, then it's great. If you don't, no one knows who owns it. Is it the history department? Well, no, it's not really the history department at all. And is it the science department? I kind of think it's part of the science department. I think it's a soft science maybe, but it's a science. Or is it's been part of the English department here at AMSA. So in other words, AP Psychology hasn't really had a home. And when you put it in a department, whether it's been history most recently, it's been English in the past since I've been here, that takes teachers away from teaching their core subject, right? And so, and that's then less seats in the course subject to fit in this AP Psychology. The kids love it. It's a great class. But it's also a class that a lot of students can access, maybe if they're not an AP Chem student, or maybe they're not an AP Math student, but AP Psychology is something that they're interested in and they can access. We had 57 kids that wanted that class, that requested that class, and certainly wanted to keep it. The problem that we had was we couldn't really find a home for it where we had the teacher to teach it. So it was canceled. And then we got to the end of the year and we were like, oh my goodness, we really need it back. Of course we do. But then we couldn't get it back into the schedule. So we're like, oh no, what are we gonna do now? I had met some people from Quinn-Sigmund Community College. I'm on the board for the Chamber of Commerce here in Marlborough. And I had met somebody who had told me about a dual enrollment program. And I'm very familiar with dual enrollment because at the school I came from, Sizer Charter School up in Fitchburg, we did a lot of cooperative work with Mount Wachusett Community College and with Fitchburg State. So I heard dual enrollment, I was like, oh my goodness, this would be wonderful. We don't want it to kill our AP program for sure, but this might be a place that we can pull in some creative learning. So they were offering these, it turned out, psychology and sociology, first semester and second semester, at a reduced rate, $250 for the class, it was $100 for the book, offered to seniors online. But I've seen so many kids fall apart in an online class, especially when they're not ready for it. So independent learning can be very, very difficult even for our children. So what we did was we set it up so that we have a teacher who's actually just kind of like monitoring them all the time. So they come into the class, the computers are set up, they're doing it online, and Audrey Cook she works in a history department, is there, and Audrey's making sure, have you hit that deadline? Are you set on that assignment? So we thought, okay, this is an opportunity that we can offer a psychology and a sociology out to the kids. It would be a cost to families, but it would help to kind of boost their resumes and their transcripts for college. They get high school credit for it, and they also get 3 college credits for it. Psychology 101, Sociology 101. So we moved forward with it because I knew I had a number of kids out there that really wanted the AP Psych, and we couldn't get it back in the schedule. So we're committed now for this year coming up. We will have AP Psychology back in the schedule. I was able to get it back in. The history department is going to take it. Kevin Doyle is going to teach it. He's taught it for the last 2 years. But we do have a number of students who are involved in this online class. It was $250, as I said, $100 for the book. So the question was, what happened to AP Psychology? That's what happened to it. What are we going to do? We're going to add it in next year. What about the cost that the families are absorbing for this class? Well, it was a choice class. It was something that the kids could choose or not, families could opt into or not. We had a number that did, which is great. I just actually finished applying for a grant to try to cover the cost. The initial goal would be to cover the cost for any student that's on free and reduced lunch that would pay for the tuition and for the book. And then the second part of the grant is, and if you're willing to do that, then would you consider covering and reimbursing the families for the tuition and for the book for everyone? So that's the goal. Will we get the grant? I don't know, but I just actually dotted the I's and just wait for Dr. Lewis's signature on it tomorrow. So that's the hope, that we get that, able to reimburse our families for that. So that's AP Psych. Any questions on AP Psych?
A couple questions. One, how many people actually enrolled? So how many are actually in that class? You said 57 were interested in English. How many actually?
Only
did?
12, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yep. But part of it too was we were offering these independent times when Audrey is going to be in there to monitor, and it's 4 periods during the day. So if that didn't fit, because you had AP Latin, it didn't fit. And that was one of the problems we had trying to fit it back in again.
And then the second question, or sort of thing, is one of the parts of AMSOC charter is to be trying to learn and experiment with new ways. I see this as a new way of potentially learning that we didn't plan on to begin with, but we were sort of manipulated into, and it's a good potential solution for this year. You said next year we'll go back to the normal way. Are we capturing the learning of this one to say, well, maybe next year there's a advanced class in zoology or something that we could do online learning with again, and some other way, so that we can say, hey, can this be used for us to supplement our curriculum going forward, where we don't have, as you said, the size actually offered on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a possibility. We got lucky this year to have Audrey have some free periods that we were able to utilize. We won't when next year when Kevin Doyle takes the AP Psych back, that's going to bump those classes to Audrey, so we wouldn't have somebody necessarily to proctor. Yeah, I think we're always looking for creative ways to improve learning. What I think some of the concern is, especially amongst the AP teachers, is if we start pulling in dual enrollment courses from all over, is that going to take away from our AP program, right? So I think that's a bigger conversation that we definitely would want to have with them, the department chairs, and to see how far they wanted to expand that. The other thing is we really were able to, because Audrey had that availability and is able to keep the kids on track, I think that's just so important. And I've watched kids, my own daughter included, kind of fall apart on an online class because they're really just not ready to manage their time. And if somebody isn't kind of keeping track and just checking that account and saying, hey, you're a couple chapters behind, it can be a mess. And then all of a sudden at the end, you've got a senior who's barely passing a class, and they're usually an A student. And it's all really about time management and maturity. And it's different even from college, because college you're still walking into a classroom for the most part. So, yeah, big conversation, Terry.
Yeah, third thing, having had a daughter who took online classes when she was here, or AP stuff, but AP music theory, because the school didn't offer it. $350 is really cheap.
Yeah.
Extremely
Get college
inexpensive
credit.
for an online
College credit.
AP class, given what I know from Stanford and other online programs. So that's another reason where I'm like, if you can arrange things that, as you said, if you have a teacher who could help monitor it, it might help it and cut costs for some other people for these one-offs. I can see a class, I can envision a classroom where there are 15 kids in there, they're actually doing 8 different types of online classes. This one teacher is just making sure they're on track, but they all have their own individual things which you can't offer, like music theory or things like that.
No, I mean, that's a great idea. All of our teachers are teaching between 22 and a half and 25 hours a week, and their contract is for 25. So most of them are so tight. We got lucky this year, and it has to do with this fact that we were trying to fit AP Psych back in, and then Audrey got hired full time, but then we couldn't fit it into the schedule because the schedule is like a brick wall. But so I don't know that we will have those resources in the future, but I mean it's a great idea. The cost. The nice thing about this Quinsig partnership too is that this is a program that they have that they're taking out into the community, and it's fairly pre-prescribed. The kids could actually, if they started from the beginning, this is where like technically in the second phase, the second year part of it, but like the first year they can do English and English composition and English literature and on that college, junior college level. And so it's like a 2-year cycle that they put the kids through, and then they end up with X number of credits at the end. They're kind of accommodating us because I really wanted the psych and the sociology. So that's kind of how that happened. They don't have, at least at Quinn Sig, they don't have
Yeah,
all these,
right.
you know, advanced classes that we might want. Yeah, but we could find them. Any other questions on that? No? Okay. Someone had a question on directed study, but there was no, it just says directed study. There isn't a question attached to it? No? Okay. And I think, and there was a question on, is it possible to have Indian cuisine added to the lunch menu?
Well, we have a vegetarian option. Specifically Indian cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It has to do with the catering company and their capabilities. We're hoping that the vegetarian option would cover that request. If the parent who wrote that wanted to email me some specific suggestions, I'd be happy to look at that and talk to the catering company.
We had some questions on uniform, and I'm going to let Mike take over on the uniform questions. The uniform policy didn't change this year. It's been the same for the last year and a half.
Its interpretation has changed as you look around. It's like, that's not code, that's not code. There's a
Well,
lot of kids, I think, that are pushing the bar, especially with the, you know, I don't know, did I see like no white stripes? I see white stripes all over the place, like.
it's not a no white stripe. I believe it's the size of the white stripe.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you walked by during transition time especially, it probably doesn't look so much like a uniform, because during transition time students can wear, like especially a day like today where it's cold and rainy out, they can wear a sweatshirt of their choice, jacket of their choice. Unfortunately, we don't have the capability, we don't have the option right now to provide an AMSA logo like winter coat or different gear like built for, you know, manufactured for rain gear and stuff like that. So you may see, you know, UMass Amherst sweatshirts during transition time as the students are going into class. The key is when they're in the classroom, you know, in homeroom in the morning, the homeroom teachers are doing a uniform check each and every day. And then during transition time, there's a little bit of freedom there. But when they enter into their first period, second period, 8th period class, teachers are checking. Students are referred, I mean, every day. I don't deal with it directly anymore. Our deans deal with it more the day-to-day. I mean, every day there are students who make that decision to wear, you know, the wrong color phys ed pants, like what black phys ed pants is a popular one. You know, so there are referrals being made. There is accountability out there. Consistency-wise, I think anywhere, any school you go to that has a uniform, it could always improve more and more. But I mean, I think we're doing a pretty good job. It's the first year. This is the first school year where we have not made any changes from the prior year, which we're very, very happy about. So we haven't put all of you and your children in this bind where you have to go and purchase new items. I mean, it's the same exact setup as last year, which I think is a huge win for us. Haven't heard too many complaints at all from students or parents the last 2 years, honestly. We've really, I think, given the students some more options and families more options as far as, you know, different vendors you can purchase from when it comes to like pants. Like we were trying to mandate years ago that you have to buy pants from Land's End, and that did not work out well. Didn't look so good. Students made that very clear, parents made that very clear. So we adjusted. We really, our student government for the upper school, they do a great job advocating for themselves. They're the voice of the student body, and they're like the intermediary between students and the administration. So over the years, we've really evolved into something where I think the vast majority of students and families are all on board with it and understand it. So. But I hear you, like during transition time, if you walk in here, you'd probably be like, if it was just a visitor who had, you know, just someone visiting campus with no affiliation to AMSA, they'd probably be like, they would never think that it was a uniform school until they went into a classroom, and you'd see it there.
The classroom, it is amazing because the teachers are, if everyone isn't in uniform, the teachers say, okay, in uniform everyone is, they're working on attendance. And so when you actually walk by the classrooms, first of all, it's amazing to see all the kids, you know, anxiously engaged in what they're learning. But that, you know, you see that consistency as you look out. And that's one of the reasons, and I'll admit it, the pet peeve on shirts only from Land's End, that's my pet peeve. I just want to be able to look out and I want to see navy blue, light blue, all the same colors, not dark navy and light navy and this blue and that blue. I want to see that consistency. There was a question I know about the white polo shirts with the logo on it. 2 years ago, I think, we decided to just simplify it and go down to 2 colors. But we didn't want to say, if you have a sibling that graduated and you have 5 white shirts at home, that you can't wear the white shirts. But we're not selling them anymore. But the kids are welcome to wear them if they're wearing hand-me-downs. We've got them at the PTO, you know, sale. That's fine. Eventually, those white ones will do themselves away because they just get more and more stained on them and all that. So no one, you know, there's no issues with that.
Yeah, but that's important though, because we had some students who were asking the deans and like a little nervous about wearing white polo shirts. They can wear the white AMSA logo polo shirts, it's perfectly fine. But it's just being phased out for a new purchase, so not gonna be able to buy a new one.
Yeah, and that once again, we'd like to try to take feedback from everyone. And back then, when we were simplifying this, we said let's go with navy blue and white and keep it simple, you know, the logo and all. And actually, the feedback we got from the kids and parents was the girls feel self-conscious in the white shirts. Can you please go to the light blue? So we did. We went to the light blue and the dark blue, and that was, you know, purely from feedback. I was talking to Sarah this morning, and we were talking about you know, the navy blue shirts, and they've got a white logo on them. So that was actually something that just kind of happened. I remember very clearly. It was almost 2 years ago, and we had asked Land's End to do the color logo because we kind of, you know, like the color logo, and Land's End switched it on their end. They made a mistake and they switched it, and they produced a bunch of shirts with white logos on it. And you know, parents were starting to return them. You're doing the same logo, and we looked at it too, and we were like, oh my goodness, this is the wrong logo, it's in white. And then we all looked at it and said, you know, that's kind of sharp, we like it. And we didn't want parents to feel like they had to return these shirts, so we just embraced it and said, hey, let's run with it, they look nice. So sometimes things, you know, like that happened. It wasn't necessarily intended. We do have a new logo now. Hopefully you've seen it on the web page, or if you've been to any of the parent nights, and we talked about it a little bit. Eventually, Land's End will start selling, but we're always going to granny everything in so that it's not difficult for families. It doesn't become a burden. But eventually they will be, and the AMSA is spread out a little bit. It's a little bit cleaner. There's an A and a little space where if you look at the shirts like Sarah has on, they kind of run, the letters are run together. So we separated those, made it look a little sharper. We added in the core values underneath in a little blue bar. So it says integrity, excellence, and community on there too. So that was the update. We really wanted to add the core values in there. So eventually you'll start to see shirts that you order come with that new logo.
So in terms of, like, I know the PTO, like the ones that are too small to donate, but it has to be a current one. So the shirts that just say AMSA, that don't say charter school, that just have the AMSA logo, are those still valid
Yes.
to donate, or should no, that's no longer the right logo?
Yeah, no, we're not going to be picky on things like
Right.
that. It's just too much of a hardship on families to be. The days of looking at what color eyelets somebody has on shoes are long gone. Do you have any idea how hard that was to enforce? They're impossible to buy, and we're sitting there looking at kids' shoes. I don't know what color your eyelets. I don't know. We're consulting on eyelet colors. It was ridiculous. So, you know, we really want to make this. It's a uniform school. It is. It's in our charter. We love our uniform. Love to see the kids in it. They look sharp. They're proud. It's great. But we want it to be family friendly. right? And the kids, they don't necessarily love it, but that's okay. Someday they're going to look back with fond memories. Say, wow, that uniform, that was awesome. I love those days at AMSA.
Yeah, I mean,
She's like, she's crazy.
I've been through. I mean, I've been here for. This is the ninth school year I've been at here. So I've seen all different. As many of you who have children that have been here for a while as well. Many different philosophies have come through the doors here when it comes to uniform, and it was difficult for me to. I had kids who were showing me their shoes and they had colored in their Nike swooshes with.
I was just going to say how many markers.
Yeah, so I felt very bad about that, but I hope everybody is getting the sense and realizes that, of course we've done away with the shoe policy is very lenient now. We're trying to make it like Ellen said, as family friendly as possible, and we want to be realistic and not have to change. I hope that this uniform never changes for as long as I'm here, 30 years from now. I hope it's the same policy. We shouldn't, as a school, we're a young school, we've made so many adjustments, but this is one where I think, let's just try and create the tradition, keep it alive. It's everybody, people understand it. Let's roll with it. The kids look good when they're all in their navy blue or baby blue shirts, so good. Yeah, it's the bringing up. We have a question.
I agree with the parent because I'm the one who commented on the handbook as written, because it's really hard and frustrating as a parent to help my child comply when I can't even understand what you meant as written for what the student handbook says about student uniforms. So I am disappointed that you're going to defer the revisions that I suggested could be made to those few pages in the handbook to make it clearer to us who are trying to help our students conform. That you need to defer another year before you can make the changes to the handbook and make it a little bit clearer, even if it's with footnotes or some other information. And I wish you could also have a little bit more economical options, because as I pointed out to you, Mr. Ronke, Tommy Hilfiger offers shirts that are the exact same colors as Land's End at $10 a shirt less. So I can buy 3 shirts from Tommy for the 2 shirts I buy. It's still less than 2 shirts at Land's End. So I don't like sole sourcing. I wish we could have more options, but I just would please ask you to revise the handbook, because as written, it is not clear what we're conforming to.
We can certainly update the website easy enough with the clarifications that you asked for. It's a long process over several months in order to actually get the physical handbook updated, because it goes through, as I mentioned in the email to you, it would go through committee to get it here at the school to get it updated and reworded. Then it goes to the governance committee and has to get approved. And it has to go to the board of trustees to get it approved. So it's a process that takes time, which is why we try to only bring that to the board once a year, which we do in the summer.
Yeah, and I appreciate your email on point. There are some, we could be even more specific in certain areas that you pointed out. I did email you back with the answers to those questions specifically, so you do have them. Like Ellen said, it's quite a process to change just, even just a word or a sentence in there when it comes to the policies. But I would encourage any parent watching this or any parent in here, if they have specific uniform questions, just to ask and we'll give you the answer. But some of that information, it really is, I appreciate your attention to detail. I really do, because you're bringing up good points. Like for instance, the phys ed polo you brought up, does it need to be navy blue? And the reason why it doesn't say in the handbook must be navy blue is because when you purchase it on Land's End, the only option is navy blue. So we didn't write it in there, but we could. So it's not really, and don't take this the wrong way, I don't think it's a pressing matter to get it in writing into the handbook immediately. I hope I've answered all your questions. If you still have any ones, we can talk for a few minutes after the meeting if you want. But hopefully I answered your questions and you have the right info. But just, I don't think it's a pressing issue to get it in there right away. I'm not receiving many questions of confusion around those areas. But honestly, I really do appreciate the attention to detail that you have, and I welcome the feedback, and we will make the adjustments. But you have the correct information, and we'll put it in writing when we can.
All right, I had,
I
let's,
just had a quick one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the deal with the joggers? Like, I keep hearing this word jogger, and I have no idea even what joggers are.
Joggers are they like
Are they allowed?
elastic.
they cling at the bottom like with an
So
elastic.
Lands' End sells a sweatpant that I guess is a jogger that's in our uniform section. Is that okay?
For phys ed, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be like a navy blue jogger pant that you're referring to.
Okay.
Some students, there are like khaki colored pants that kids do wear on regular uniform days, which is not allowed. We want it to be like a traditional khaki look. But what you're talking about is open and for sale.
Okay.
Or you could find navy blue, like plain navy blue ones at Marshalls or TJ Maxx or something like that, as long as it's the correct, if it's the navy blue color, for phys ed.
Okay.
But on the regular day, we want it to be a certain,
Just a
that
like
khaki
pant. Like
pants,
It's just
yes.
it's just
a khaki
Okay.
pant or
Pant.
All it is,
pant.
I didn't know what they were either till last year, but
Yeah.
they're just clingy at the bottom. The kids love them. The
Okay.
kids try and get away with it.
So they're wearing them on non-gym days.
Some, yes,
Is that what, I'm
attempt
just
to.
trying to figure out what
they're buying
Jogger on
khaki.
gym days is okay.
Yeah.
Jogger on non-gym days is not
Okay.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They're trying to wear them as a khaki
Yeah, got
with
it.
with the joggers.
They're really in right now, though.
Yeah,
They
apparently.
are.
They were in the 80s too, I mean.
Yeah.
Can I just say, as a parent who's been here a long time as well, probably even longer than Mr. Rocky, I actually appreciate that it's not super specific, because if I have to go to a store and measure a stripe, when it's hard enough to find clothes that fit your child, especially if you have a self-conscious teenage daughter
Yeah.
who maybe doesn't fit just any size, and I actually feel like the less specific it is, sometimes the easier it is to find things that will work for your child, and it gives you more options as far as finding a more inexpensive place to buy things for your child that works for them.
Yeah.
And that was the problem when it got so specific that you could only get things from Land's End, and you could only, because Land's End did not work for my child at all. They
Yeah.
were horrible,
Yeah.
horrible fit. And we tried several different fits, and that's quite expensive. And so I do, just as a different parental voice, I would like to say I actually really appreciate that we don't have to measure the size of the stripe on their pants when we go find some, because if we find a pair of shorts that fit, I'm thrilled. And I'm
That's good.
thrilled that we can get
That's
it.
good. Thanks.
Terry, did you have a question? No? I thought I saw another hand.
Those are just school, but first, I have an important question on who was the creative genius behind the principal of ED in Cars with Coffee video?
It was Dr. Lewis and, actually it was Sarah Snow's idea.
Sarah found a wonderful car with Paul McCartney in it, and they were singing. And Sarah sent it to us, and Dr. Lewis.
Karaoke?
Yeah.
So I think that's the next iteration.
Well, so he says to me, we're gonna do this, we're gonna sing. And I said, no, we're not singing. Neither one of us can sing. We're not singing. So, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be fun. And so, I think he could see that, the fear, the dread was kind of enough. They got me on camera all the time. It's a whole nother thing that they're gonna want me to sing. So anyway, this was kind of then he found this, and which of course is a series on Netflix, and his wife watches it, and so I was like, I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, okay, this I can do. I don't drink coffee, but this I can do. There was. Mike Finkel will tell you, because we actually drove around for an hour and a half and talked. And so
I had to edit a lot out.
he's got more dirt on us than anybody in the world. Because I think part of that was, and I hope that you've seen it, or if you haven't, it's 15 minutes for crying out loud. You maybe can't sit through the whole thing, but I think part of that was that we really wanted to give parents an opportunity to get to know who we were as people, right? Who we really are when no one else is around. We share.
And we want the unedited version.
I was going to say, selling outtakes for fundraiser.
Yeah, right. Well, he's got hours now.
I have a couple of years with it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll never leave
we laugh constantly, and so he's got more hours of us and me just like I'm gonna, Anders is funny, and together we have a really fun time. We share an office now, and so we're constantly in communication and constantly we're syncing our work, right? And it's worked out really, really well. I think some of the office administrators were kind of concerned if we'd get anything done, but it's turned out to really have accelerated our work. But we spend a lot of time in the car together. So we're constantly talking like that. So you're getting a very real view, actually.
Wait for the blooper reel to come out.
It's awesome. Well, did you see how he actually, that was real. He tried to, did you see where he let the car go backwards? He put the car in neutral. Did you see that? Did you catch that? We were over on this hill over here, and like I said, we drove around for an hour and a half, and all of a sudden we're going up the hill in this neighborhood here, and he put the car in neutral, and he has a stick shift, and so he put his foot on the clutch. Thank you, clutch, Liz, thanks. And then all of a sudden the car started rolling backwards down the hill, and I didn't know he had done this, and this is the kind of things that he does. So he's like, I lost my brakes. I lost the brakes. I'm like, no. And I'm starting to think in my mind, how am I going to jump out of the car? The car's, we're going to die. And so he's like, oh, that's real good footage. So we have a good time. It's really, honestly, what makes the work worth it sometimes. Yeah.
So I have actual questions now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Two of them. One is, there's a new graduate requirement for the 12th graders. I missed this because I missed the beginning of parents' night. I got there like 5 minutes late, and I just went directly. It has to do with the capstone project. Like, why was it implemented? And or if you have handouts like that you can send out to parents, that'd be great.
Yes.
Because I understand there are handouts too. And then the second question was, has to do with signing up for the colleges. Like, I have a junior right now, and there's like this 48-hour cap on it, like 48 hours before you have to stop your signups. And I had a daughter that went to another school. They were able to just walk in. I mean, I don't see why there's a need. You know the person's coming.
Yep.
Your student has to check what time or what period that is, and then they have to figure out the day, and then they have to figure out like there's like 3 things you got to check on the schedule to figure out if it fits in. By the time you do that, you may have missed the sign up. There's some kid, juniors, they're not used to this process yet. So we got shut out or something coming this week. And so I was just wondering.
Okay.
And I don't know if that was a leftover from the Brushian years, but maybe not have it so stringent, and it would ease the anxiety for the juniors.
Yep.
To sign up for a college visit.
I got you on all those topics. I got you. So yes, there is a senior capstone. We're calling it Light this year. It's kind of a transition year. There is a senior project requirement in our charter, and we haven't been doing it. The school I came from, charter school, also had a senior project. I think it's a great opportunity for students, and our students in particular, who don't always get a lot of choice in what they're learning, to really follow their passion and find something that they really are interested in, or to take something that they're already doing and turn it into a project. And so this is kind of an experimental year. It's light, and so the requirements for this year are not going to be exactly as in-depth as they may be in years to come. So basically, we've been talking to the now seniors about this all through the spring. Aaron McAdams, you may remember Aaron, teaches middle school. He also teaches in the high school. He's been a senior level advisor for a number of years, but he's your point person on this, and he has reams of information. We'll make sure that he gets that out to the parents. So for example, let's say your child did some type of an internship over the summer, or they did an Eagle project, or they did something like that. They could use that as kind of their project side of things, and then do maybe a little extra research about, let's say they worked in a lab over at UMass Medical or something in the summer, and they did a 4-week shadow or an internship or something like that. that would kind of be their project. They might do a little extra research about what did they learn, and a little bit more about this part of the job. And then they'll put together the steps. They'll put together a proposal for Aaron. They'll find a mentor here at school, maybe one of the biology teachers, who'd help them kind of formulate kind of an essential question around what is this that I learned, what did I experience, what did I learn from it. And then we'll have a, what's he calling it, an eagle's nest capstone night. Aaron's got a name for it, but basically it's going to be a parent night where the kids have a 3-sided board, or they have a PowerPoint, presentation where they show you what they learned, what did they experience. They get a chance to reflect on it. What can I take away from this? I did an internship at UMass Medical this summer, and these are pictures that I took of some of the things that I did. Here's me, a little selfie with the, the microscope, and this is what I took away from it. This is what I learned. And so really, it's an independent project, but they have an advisor here on campus, and it gives them a chance. Like, let's say your son always wanted to play the guitar, but he's never had time. He didn't. So he borrows somebody's guitar and he teaches himself a song during the year, right? And he could talk about, do some research about how do you write a song. Maybe that's what he's interested in. And so how do you compose something? How do you write this? So that they're learning a little something that they either are very passionate about and they want to learn something more, or something that they've never really had an opportunity to do, but they can work it into their learning. And so it's separate from a class, but it is a graduation requirement, and this goes back to the senior project that's mentioned in the charter. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and then I'll go back to the other one. I'll just take these questions on senior project.
So I'm hearing from my senior that she has that project as well as still doing the ELE research paper that's required.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct, that they have both?
At this point, it is, and that's why we're being very flexible with the capstone. In other words, they could be working on something right now, a little volunteer. The other thing, community service is part of it. So let's say they decided that they wanted to do, I have a student that I've been talking to about, he teaches tennis. So he was going to find some middle schoolers and give them some tennis lessons. And then we talked about creating a curriculum of how he's teaching these kids the tennis, what his goals are for each one of the lessons. And so there's ways that we're trying to make this to work into their everyday life. Hopefully something that they're already working on is something that they really want to enjoy. The kids were really opposed to this when they first heard about it. And then Aaron and I met with all of them in small groups and talked to them about the senior project, the capstone, and it lit them up so much that most of them said, well, now we just want to do this. We don't want to do the English paper. So we've been balancing that with the English department, because the English department really feels that their paper is something that's important to make sure that they're ready to write a paper for college. The English paper is done, for the most part, second semester, and we're hoping that they'll take advantage of this first semester to really get the senior project kind of done and organized and off their plate. And then we'll do the parent night. I think it's early April.
As a parent who's observing my daughter trying to apply for colleges and research these colleges and come up with their essay for the Common App, I see that as a lot of pressure on these kids if you're looking to have them do it all early on in
Right.
senior.
It's a trial year, it's a balance year, and we're going to try to kind of mentor them as well as we can. I will make sure that Aaron sends everything out so you can kind of see the timeline on what he's looking for. And I think that you would find that the proposal is a paragraph. You just need to put a paragraph together, something that they're interested in, and let them know which teacher or administrator on campus they're going to work with. It's very, very simple. I honestly see, and I've said this to students, you're interested in being a veterinarian, go down to your local vet, ask them if you can shadow for a few hours on a couple different Saturdays. Write up a reflection on that experience. Put a 3-sided board together showing pictures of you with the puppies and what you learned from being there and how they gave an IV and those types of things. And that's not a really big, heavy-duty project. So I think they've started to hear that now, but now they're like, but we don't want to do the English paper. And so we're trying to balance the two.
I think that's good that they're hearing that, because I think being kids studying here at AMSA, they always feel like they have to go that extra mile on everything that they do.
Yeah.
So if it can be something that simple
We want it to be fun for them. One of the bits of feedback that I heard multiple times when I was talking to the kids in the spring was, wow, we rarely ever get to choose what we want to study. And they liked it. And our kids love to learn, so they love to soak that up. But then I don't want to do the English paper. So how do you inspire them to do both? So right here.
Yeah, just want to just a comment on her comment that, it's good. I agree with the capstone. My daughter ended up doing something so extraordinary, which is not really good during the time that she's doing the college act. It's really stressful, but she didn't listen to me.
Right.
So that's one thing, because she thought that she should have done something more than just a simple thing.
Yeah.
So that's one. I just want to give comment about the dual enrollment, particularly on the psychology class. I understand that it used to be offered, but this year it's not. It's being replaced with dual enrollment, which is being done online.
You might have come in a little bit late. I covered that, so when at the end, can you come up and I'll give you my whole spiel again? Because I spent 3 or 4 minutes on it. So at the end, I'd be happy to go through it all with you again. Okay?
Okay.
I did, though, have a couple questions back here from this mom. That one was about the capstone. The other one was about the college visits.
Yeah, college visits.
So I come from the counseling department, and so I understand the history of that and where that came from. We have, back then, we had 65 or more. I think they've got 80 colleges that come during the fall to see our kids, right? Those colleges want to be here. What happens is the kids don't want to go to class that day, or they don't want to take the quiz, and they say, oh, I've got a college visit, and off they go. So if we said that anyone could go at any time, they would get up in mass and they would go. So we want them to look at that list and think about it. Target the schools they're interested in, give it some thought, and then they sign up through Nadian's, and then they're on the list, and then they get checked off. And then we can let the teachers know too on the list of who's going. We found that when it was looser than that, we had massive numbers of students coming down that weren't necessarily interested in that particular college at all. They really were just trying to get out of class for a little bit of time. So that's why we had to tighten it up, because we really want them to think about it and make their choices.
Are there a lot of kids going to these college visits? I thought there weren't that many.
Well, I think less than, we would have, Northeastern would come and we'd have 150 kids going down there, right? It doesn't mean that all those kids wanted to go to see Northeastern. So that's why they've brought it down a little bit, because they want the kids to be more thoughtful about where they're going and not just signing up to be able to get out of class or a quiz or something that they are trying to avoid.
The opposite effect. My kids don't want to go. I want them to go.
Yeah.
So they look for every excuse not to sign up. So I have to sign them up and say, can you please see what you can do about this? And
It goes both ways, but unfortunately sometimes you have to create a policy around what you're trying to not make happen, right? So for the kids who are looking for a reason to get out of class, then you have to make the rule to address that, not necessarily the one to encourage kids to go. So that's what we've had to do, because we had too many. When they come down in a big group and they're all laughing and having a good time, you know that they're not listening to what's happening, and it's not a good show of our students when kids are coming down and they're goofing around in the back of the cafeteria while there's someone from one of our prestigious colleges here to talk to them. So we want to make sure that they're serious about it and they're being mindful and thoughtful about what they're missing and what they'll need to make up, and is it worth it to do that, and give it a little bit more thought. Cynthia?
Really quick, my daughter had the opposite problem, that she signed up but wasn't allowed to leave.
So the teachers have that option too if they really feel
Just curious about how that works.
That if there's a quiz or if there's something that's going on, that they can say, no, I need you here for this because this is going to be on the test tomorrow. But have Erica always email the counselor and they'll collect materials for them, any handouts or anything like that. So they're happy to do that.
Can they go just for a few minutes just to grab the materials
Yes.
and stuff? Oh, they can.
Yes.
So sorry to go back to the capstone thing, but do they get graded for it? Is it part of their GPA?
It's a pass-fail and it's not attached to the GPA.
It's not attached to the GPA, okay.
But it is on the transcript as a pass-fail.
When do you start communicating? So it sounds like that this is something you're bringing back. So as a parent of a high-stress, high-anxiety junior, when will they be made aware of this requirement for their senior year?
I'll talk to Erin about that. We've been so focused on getting the seniors and through the spring, working with them. Do you know any timeline?
I was going to say maybe junior seminar. So the counselors have junior seminar classes.
I'll check in Erin's timeline on that. I'm not sure, Mary. Any other questions? Our time is almost up.
I don't have a kid that's ready for college yet, but is there a master list where that parents can like look and have a schedule and see who's coming what day?
Yep, in
I
Naviance.
just think that would be, that exists, perfect.
Yeah, it's all there in Naviance, and just ask your student for their login and.
They don't get those until they're juniors, until
No,
the end of the
96th
sophomore
grade,
year.
so we
Oh,
probably don't have to worry
Ninth
about it.
grade.
But I'm just like, he's
I
not one of
agree.
the communicates all the time.
Yeah, the ninth graders have been getting their Naviance signed in for the last 2 years. So they may not remember it, but they get it, and Sarah Pintana goes in and does a lesson. Somebody did ask about doing college prep with ninth graders. We do college and career, not college exploration so much as career exploration in ninth grade. And that is done by the counselors, and they go in and they help them open up their Naviance accounts, and they start doing some like the interest surveys and things like that.
What can I expect? Like, I have a junior, and I'm just curious about what's going on in terms of the college planning. Is there anything that's going to happen significantly in the spring?
Yep.
Or does it start in, like, basically senior year?
No, they do actually. Last year we started a junior seminar, and they meet with. They meet during the PE. They do what the seniors do, which is this 4-day, in an 8-day cycle, is 4 days of a class. It's PE, senior sem, PE, senior sem of those 4 days. So they're doing the same thing in the spring with the juniors. So, right, they're gonna see the seniors from now until January, and then they'll start going in and having the juniors.
And you cover essays and things like that early on?
Yes, they have a whole curriculum that they work. So you can, if you're curious on what that is, you can just reach out to your child's counselor. And any of you who have juniors, it's so important for them to start meeting with their counselors this year. Get to know them. They can write a much more detailed letter of recommendation if they know them. So just remind them. There's nothing better than juniors that come and want to meet with you.
I could do just a shameless plug for any parents of juniors. The PTO offers a meeting in January, it'll be the 8th this year, where we invite AMSA alumni back to talk to parents, and we encourage parents to bring their students about the college process, what their first year of college has been like, did they feel prepared, not prepared. It's a really great night, and the students we've had back in the past have just been really fabulous sharing their experience.
Yeah, Mike's got some information for about Spirit Week, and I'll turn the time over to him. But we just to kind of bounce off of what Mary was saying there. Mark Vital is doing a fantastic job as our community outreach person. He is constantly bringing in different companies that are offering our kids paid internships, shadowing opportunities. The latest one was iRobot is offering us some shadowing opportunities. We've got for seniors, Synovian, who are going to work with it's going to be an interview process, application interview process, 4 of our seniors who, and the seniors know about this, it's been announced to them, who are going to be able to apply, get trained over at Synovian around mental health issues and brain disorders, chemical disorders, and then they are going to assist them in creating a curriculum which will then be taught to our middle schoolers to dispel the stigma of mental illness. And then each one of those seniors will be awarded a $2,500 scholarship at the end. And so these are the kind of things that Mark Vital is working on. Community service, he's always, has things going on there. So if you have any questions about any opportunities for, especially the older students, for job placements, internships, reach out to Mark. Community service for all grades. He has in Naviance now, there's something called, it's an X2 something.
Vol X2.
Vol X-
Vol X2.
Vol X2, where the kids can track all their service hours on there as part of their resume for college and that. So Mark is really, he is just knocking it out of the park. So very excited about that. And Mike?
Oh yeah, so just to end on a super exciting note, we have Spirit Week coming up. It actually starts on Friday because we wanted to give the students 5 full days. We have Columbus Day next week where we don't have school. So Friday is Sports Day. Students can wear like their fan gear of their favorite sports teams, or like wear an AMSA jersey if they play for an AMSA team, or like a hometown club team type of thing. The following Tuesday is Lazy Day. Kids can wear, hoodies and sweatpants and things like that. No slippers or like unsafe footwear. We'll make that clear to the students in the morning announcements. Wednesday is International Tourist Day, or like an international type theme day. The student government wanted to do that. Thursday is Decade Day. So each grade has a specific decade dedicated to them. So check that out. It was on Mr. Fickle's weekly newsletter blast. There's a flyer out there that has the themes for each day. And Friday to end the week is your students should wear their class color t-shirt, any t-shirt they have. A lot of the classes in the upper school, the grades, like they buy their own, the kids put in money with their advisor or just on their own and purchase class t-shirts. That's like a big color wars, we call it. And the upper school students, 9th through 12th grade, we have a huge pep rally every year honoring the fall sports teams. There's there's volleyball game not this Friday, the following Friday, the day of the pep rally. There's a varsity girls volleyball game, and varsity boys and girls soccer all playing right after school. And Mr. Jones did his best to try and stagger that a little bit so the kids wouldn't miss all of the volleyball match if they were at the soccer game. So hopefully the weather holds up. It's usually an awesome event, pep rally for the upper school, and then we have high attendance out there for the sports games. Following night, October 13th, is the homecoming dance. That's again for the upper school. It's at the Hudson Boys and Girls Club. Tickets are already on sale. We've made announcements to the students that the tickets are on sale. It's $10 for a ticket. They can buy those at the upper school front desk. Lower school for Spirit Week, they of course can dress to the theme of each day. They have their own door decorating type contest. They have like a homeroom specific and grade level specific competition that goes on. And they all have their class colors and whatnot, so they should wear those with pride. And it's a very nice week, very spirited week. Students are very motivated and sometimes a little too intense, especially in the upper school grades. I think that's pretty much it. More info, again, the info's on the newsletter. We'll probably maybe send out another informational email to the community just to, just for last minute specifics. But each day is considered like it's a dress down day. If you follow the dress down day rules, the kids should be, there's a theme for each day. They should be dressing appropriately for school. It is $1 each day, so it would be $5 total if your child dresses down for each of the themes. That money is being donated to the classes, to the upper school classes. So some of you who have lower school students, you're kind of like, wow, we're really getting the short end of the stick right now. But just think about, the future. When your child enters 9th grade and goes throughout high school, it really benefits the individual classes. And student government will receive some of the proceeds from that. And student government I run student government with Mr. Fryer, we co-advise. We have these funds and all we do is give back to our clubs, any clubs who are in need at our school of funding if they want to go on a trip or they want to bring in a guest speaker. So like the money's being put to good use, and that's just across the board. We donate to different clubs and organizations here to make sure that they can do what they need to do. So it's an exciting time, starting Friday this week and going to the following Friday. The students love it. Students love it, so
It's a good time.
it should be a good time.
It's a good time. And I'll be in Iceland next week, so.
I forgot about that.
So I won't be here.
I forgot
My
about
favorite week of the year. So anyway, thank you all so much for being here. If there's anything else we can offer you, please feel free to email us.